If I stumble on my words or something, this is why. Okay, let's see if we can get where we can see this. It is just over 100 degrees on that thermometer, and this one was in the shade, and it is reading 96. And that is, or 95.9 before you all go correcting me. Hey guys, welcome back to the Mountain Wizard. It is hotter than Hades out, and to prove it, if I stumble on my words or something, this is why. Okay, let's see if we can get where we can see this. It is just over 100 degrees on that thermometer, and this one was in the shade, and it is reading 96. And that is, or 95.9 before you all go correcting me. So it's pretty warm. I stopped at like 2:30, took my lunch, and hung out in the AC for a little bit, and then came back out. And it's quite warm. I am ready for the sun to go behind some clouds or something. I mean, I'm thankful for it, but good golly. I got all my piers set. I wasn't gonna set the piers for the deck, but I went ahead and did it. It was another 4. It took me, another few hours. Okay, maybe not quite a few hours, but it took me another little bit. But now they're done. So now I am done with all of my posts or piers. So I just got done pulling up all my batter boards, and now I want to show you a tool I'm fixing to put on the excavator that makes dress up work so easy. Okay, I've seen a few iterations of this tool, but let me show you what I use and what many people that do finish work with dirt use. Okay, so as you can see right now, we've got like a 12-inch bucket on here. Okay, 10-inch, I don't know, something like that. When I bought this machine, it came with, well, it didn't come with, but I bought a pallet of attachments for it from the auction, the same auction house. So it came with an auger with a 10 and 8-inch bit, or maybe 10 and 6. Then it came with 2 grading buckets, which are smooth. They don't have teeth on them for digging. Then it came with one, I'm going to say maybe 18-inch digging bucket. And then one that you just saw, that 8-inch. On my smaller grader bucket, this is what I did. Okay. This is a piece of square tubing, about 4-inch, welded ears on each end of that square tubing. And that makes that about 4 foot wide. Okay. I got a quick attach on this machine. That was part of what was on the pallet of attachments, along with a rake and a ripper shank, just for plucking out stumps and stuff. But anyways, this smaller, I'm going to say that's probably an 18-inch grader bucket. It's smooth jawed like this one here. Okay. What I did here is, see if I can flip this up one-handed. We cut out a piece of this angle iron, or yeah, we cut out a piece of this square tubing and inlaid angle iron for the bucket to kind of nestle in. All right, like so. Okay, so the bucket teeth just sit in there, and we made it wider because at the time that this was made, it was actually for one of my it was for my Cat 306, and then we'd use it for the 302.7 as well. But anyways. So, and then you just attach it with a chain and boomer. If you're going to use it temporarily on a bucket, then you just attach it with a chain and boomer and remove it when you're done. This one, I don't use this grader bucket for anything else, so I just left it attached. It is easier to do this on a grading bucket that does not have cutting edges. It's less likely to wobble side to side. Okay. So it's a quick attach setup. So it only takes me less than 5 minutes to lay it out and swap buckets. So that's what I'm going to do here in a minute. And then I'm going to use that to mop in between all of my piers. Okay. And I'll do it as I'm tracking backwards. So I tried to level it out earlier with the grader blade on the front, and it is significantly better. And that's what you want to do. You want to get it as good as you can with the grader blade if you have it, or the bucket of a tractor or skid steer. But the mop, see how I still got tire tracks in here? It does not look like a big deal until you're trying to climb around underneath this house to do something new, to do plumbing later or whatever. Plus, I don't want to be tripping over this crap on the outside while I'm trying to work, okay? So I'm going to dress up all that. And with the mop, I can reach down the hill and drag back, okay? And as I'm working back, I'm just bringing that pile, and just like a grader, you can kind of pivot it side to side, and you can and fill a lot of those voids, okay? Especially on a machine that has a pivot boom. Mine does not have a pivot boom, but you can, you know, if you get experienced with it, you can kind of pivot your machine and be able to do things like that. But a mop, now, I've seen a few different styles of that. I've seen pieces of pipe used where they've cut out the same way, welded ears on each end. Makes no difference. If you have a hydraulic thumb on a big machine, you can get by with just grabbing it. Getting bit by something. You can get by with just grabbing. I've seen use telephone poles. We've used railroad ties in the past. A tree, you know, whatever. If you're just trying to grade out something as you're backing up and trying to cover your tracks, and dress things up like that. So I am going to do that now, and I will time lapse it, and I'll try to include some of swapping that around. But you know, the whole point behind this is to teach you tips and tricks. Some of the stuff I kind of take for granted, like, well, everybody knows that. Well, you know what? One day I learned this. And so maybe, hopefully, I am teaching you something. And if I am, right on. That's what it's all about. And if I'm not, sorry, I don't know. Find another channel, I guess. You're more talented. I don't typically wear hats anymore, but good golly, it was so hot. And I got my hair cut the other day, and it is cut short. For those of you who haven't seen, there it is. It's gorgeous. I know. The best, the greatest. And, but anyways, I was pretty sure my scalp was burning, and here we are. So maybe not the ideal summer hat because it's cotton and it just makes everything hot, but that's what I got for now. All right, see what we can get done. If you're curious how hot it is, I just had to pull my phone out of the cooler because it wouldn't do anything. It had overheated. So I didn't get all of the recording that I would have liked, and that is just something I'm going to have to deal with for now. If you watch this stuff and you have any experience with how to deal with that, I would love for you to drop a comment down below and let me know what you're doing when your camera gear is overheating, because this is all that I have. I've got 2 cell phones that I make these recordings with. So anyways, I just pulled it out of the cooler and it seems to be doing okay now. All right, so these are my deck posts out here. Those 4 are set. And then all of these posts up here are my piers for the house. I just took the mop and went in between the rows there. There's 3 rows. Went in between there and just dressed it up as best I could. And then I just took a landscape rake, not a leaf rake, but one like this. Okay, same one that I used to install the shade cloth in my greenhouse. And just went around each of those posts. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put up the correction. I'm going to take my transit and I'm going to make a mark on all these posts, and I'm going to get everything lined out because I want to make sure that I want to go, I think, to the top of my deck post out there. For now, I'm still going to have to figure out my railing. But I want to go to the top of my deck post out there, I think, and see where that ends me up at my lowest point. So got my transit set up here, right? Receiver is down there at the moment. I'm going to show you why here in a second. I come up here and at ground level, I get a reading, okay? And I set my receiver. In fact, let me just set that up and I will do it real quick for you while we're recording. Let me get this set up in such a way that you can watch, okay? Stand by. All right, so what we're going to do, the only thing I'm trying to do is compare my difference or find my difference from that highest point in the dirt which will be the lowest point in my, it will be the lowest point under my foundation on like the crawl space, okay? Not a huge deal, but it's something you want to keep in mind. This beeping is going to be loud. You're just going to have to suck it up for a few seconds. I've already got it set, so I'm not making adjustments here, okay? When you have a solid beep like that, that is where you are going to get at your level. That's where it's finding the laser at, okay? I'll put a link to this little unit down below. It's not terribly expensive. It's more than you want to lose out of the back of a truck like I have before. The receiver that it comes with sucks. Go ahead and put that out there right now. Tripod, right on. The stick, right on. The send-in unit, right on. The receiver, it's POS, okay? So you'll spend like another $100 for a good receiver. You can use the other one. It'll work for a few minutes. I've tried buying others, like just buying another one of their receivers. They're crap. But this one I bought the other day is sweet. Okay, so we'll go down here just for giggles. Let's find it on this mark. We're gonna be pretty low, we think. So right there, that's pretty much ground level. Again, sorry for the beeping, but you're just gonna have to suck it up. Now on this, right there, so we're about a foot up, okay? Now, like this is the end of the pad, right? And I knew the porch was gonna be suspended, if you will. No big deal. But what ends up happening is, man, that wind might be screwing with the audio, but I swear I'm not editing it out because that is like the first breeze, good breeze I've had today. Anyways, this found solid, or whatever. I found my mark here, right there, all right? And that is, handy dandy tape measure. That is 2 feet almost exactly from the top of that post, okay? So, I probably, I got a 2x10. Trying to figure out what I want to do for a mark up here on my post. This will be the lowest post. And I know that because of how I laid out my string line. But, see if I can get this to pick up right there. That one's actually, yeah, right at ground level again. Okay. So I'm probably going to bump this up. I want enough room that I can climb underneath here, right? I mean, if somebody goes to do a remodel or an addition, or just the fact that you want to be able to get underneath the house and work, we're not on a terribly steep area here. But you know, it's also a good thing to keep in mind that I totally could have just made the pad narrower and hugged the wall more. I'd have done taller, or I would have had to have done taller posts, but I could have just let the cabin kind of float out there, if you will. I just didn't. Totally something you could have done though, or yeah. So I'm probably gonna raise this up. Man, I'm kind of thinking 18 inches. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna measure. I got a 2x. Let's see here. I got 2x10 is my beam, so there's 9.5 inches. And then on top of that is a floor joist, which is 2x6, which is another 5.5 inches. So 5.5 and 9.5 is going to put me at 14 inches on top of wherever I do my mark. So you got to keep that in mind. You can see that I have all different size posts out here. Some of these are cut-offs from the last job and whatever. No sense in using an 8-foot post just to cut it later. So I'm going to go ahead, wherever I find my mark to be, you know, it's not a big deal to, oh, shucks. Let me think here. You only need to have one low spot. I guess maybe that's the word, what I'm trying to say. Because once you get into an aisle, if you will, where the beams are, and you'll see what I'm talking about later as we progress through this. But once you get into an aisle, I mean, you've got an extra 10 inches, right? Or 9.5 technically for a 2x10. So you just need to keep that in mind. You need enough room to be able to shimmy up underneath that 2x10 if you're going to have to lay out stuff after your subfloor is on and your floor joist. Now, if you're going to do it before, then no big deal, right? But if you're going to do it, after, you need to keep that stuff in mind. I kind of showed you how I think I'm going to lay out this wet wall, is what we'll call that. And then we'll make the the living room and the bedroom will be a dry side of the house. And it won't be the end of the world if somebody ever needs to tie onto that. They can tie onto it out here or whatever. But now I just need to find my mark. I'll go ahead and do that and determine how I want to do things. And once I find my mark, I'm going to go around to all of these and make a mark on them for two reasons. One, I want to make sure that all my posts are tall enough or that I've adjusted accordingly. And two, I want to have a mark on there because I'm fixing to lay out my beams. And I'll probably run a screw on that mark since I'm setting my beams by myself. I'll put a screw in at that mark, and that way I can walk up with a 20-foot 2x10, set it on there, have something to rest it, and then get after it with a nail gun and secure it in place. So, yeah, right on. Got any questions? Leave them down below. Trying to involve you all in as much of this as I can, and hopefully you all learned something from it. All right, had to pull my phone out of the cooler there so that way we can keep it operational. So what I did, this is the highest point on the cabin, or on the pad rather. I measured up 1 foot. That is where I went around and did a mark on all of these with my transit. We'll walk over there in a second. And then from that foot, we're going to add 9.5 for the 2x10 and then another 5.5 for the floor joist. I didn't take into account the subfloors. It really didn't matter at the moment. But on this one, what that will do is this is the bottom of my beam, okay? And right here will be basically the top of my floor, give or take. So that'll put my floor, about thigh high on this lower portion. So you'll have a couple steps to get up into the cabin. Really, the front door will be out there on the deck, and the deck will all be covered. But anyways, so that will allow me just enough space right here on this post to be able to set my, oh shucks, I'll think of it here in a second, my beam and joist out there on the deck. So they are all marked, as you can see, right there, right there. I'm going through and marked them all. And now we are ready. I think I'm going to go grab the staples to be able to hold down the plastic. And I think I'm just going to go ahead and lay the plastic down. I think with enough staples, it won't be a big deal. And that way it's done. And one last thing I have to do with crawling under beams and all that. And then I'll come up and I will put screws where these marks are and start setting the beams. And we'll go from there. All right, you remember in the other video where I said eventually the cameras are going to screw up and I won't get something filmed? Yep, that happened. So one of the memory cards is full. Okay, what I did was those marks that I showed you all earlier. Anyways, the marks I showed you on the post earlier. I measured up 14.5 inches, which is about a 1/2 inch discrepancy in what I need to get to the top of the floor joist. But I came back that 1/2 inch because I knew I wasn't going to cut everything level with the chainsaw. I thought I had it all on time lapse, but I didn't. But anyways, so they're all cut off 14.5 inches higher than the marks that I had on them, except for the deck or porch posts. I have not done those yet. The reason I cut these off was so that I could cut a slit in the vapor barrier and be able to just go over top of the posts and then kind of shift it back and forth. So vapor barrier's on, and the posts are cut for the house. I'll still have to cut the posts out there for the porch posts, but this is what we've got right now. And now I'm going to go ahead and put a screw on those lines, and that way I can walk up and just set my 20-foot 2x10s in place on these posts, and then I will use the nail gun and secure them, and we'll go at it like that. All right, that's a wrap on the day, guys. I got the beams up, and I'm gonna call it. It's getting pretty dark now. I got enough light to be able to pick up my tools still yet. Significantly cooler right now. I don't know what time it is, but it is after sunset, so probably 9:15 or something. But there it is. Beams are up, so do rim joists and try to get the floor joists put up tomorrow. And maybe if I'm feeling froggy, I'll get the subfloor put on. But to see how the heat is today, it was a killer. So, all right, guys, Mountain Wizard out. We will see you next time. Thanks for stopping by.